at that age when I watched, I was like, we're getting closer to Dragon Ball Z movies. And I was like,
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Nerd on the Podcast you didn't need, but you deserve, and where all levels of nerd are welcome, even if you took the red pill or the blue pill.
Or you didn't follow the white rabbit.
Yeah.
Who knows?
or if you do like steak.
I do like steak.
Traitorous steak.
Did you say steak? Today, we are talking, if you cannot tell yet, we are talking about The Matrix.
The one and only.
We're doing bullet time. Here we go.
Bullet time.
Bullet time.
Yes.
Aren't you going to do bullet time?
Well,
My
We're
back
all
hurts.
dodging.
they're doing it plenty for me.
We're over here waving our arms like idiots.
He doesn't have to dodge bullets.
I don't have to.
He's the one!
Oh my God, Ollie is the one.
So, anyway.
What does he do? Like that?
He just,
right?
Close
he just
enough.
stops. He just stops
He goes,
it, puts
"No."
his hands up.
And if
So,
you'd like to
no.
know what I'm doing, you should watch the video version of this, which is available
On
YouTube.
YouTube.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, if you are new to Nerd On, what do we do here? Today, we are going to guess the grump. We are going to talk about our initial reactions. We'll go a little bit about the infos about the movie itself, like a brief synopsis.
Synopsisize.
We could do a
Synopsises.
brief synopsis too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a brief sinuses.
I love sausages.
Sausages. Do a little bit about the production of it, some of history about it, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of the show, which is favorite parts. We've got favorite characters. Got some qualms,
Quimquams.
qualms,
And a rating.
rating,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's the meat
Or
and the
tofu,
potatoes.
Tofu and potatoes if you're vegetarian. Either way, we're
Yes.
fine with. You're
Whatever
welcome here too.
you like. You're welcome.
And if we have some time at the end, we gush.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, since I'm starting it, I will tell you who I am. I am Josh.
I'm Caitlin.
I'm Corey.
I'm Tom.
And I'm Ali.
Why is that
Wow.
the hardest part of our show?
I don't know.
Because we're just like having just bedroom eyes with each other.
But this episode is brought to you in part by our patrons over at Patreon. You guys allow us to keep on doing what we're doing, keep on growing, keep on upgrading. If you are new to Patreon and don't know what that is, it's essentially a membership service in which you can support your favorite creators like us.
Yeah.
For as little as $1 a month, you can get Discord community to talk to fellow Nerd On fans and us specifically, bonus episodes, and a whole lot more.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
always new stuff going
Just
there.
for $1.
Fun-
Or since all of this is fake and it's all a computer program, just send us all your money and we'll use it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't.
Send us all your blue pills.
So, Tom, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about guessing the
segment.
grump?
Our first segment. So at the end of the show, we're going to rate. And our rating is 1 out of 5. And so with that, we get to guess that grump.
Oatmeal for a living.
It tastes like chicken.
Chicken tastes like everything.
So again, so we're gonna rate at the end, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest, and out of everybody, if there's no Batman, Ollie usually rates it lower than a 4, and if Caitlin likes the thing, she rates it as a 5. With that, it doesn't matter how high it is. If you're the lowest in the group, then you are the grump of that week. We encourage everyone at home to play along. Send us through all of our social medias who you thought would have been the grump, and also what your numbers are.
Yeah.
Write it down right now, because if you don't write it down right now, we're gonna spoil it with
about
our
to be
initial
immediately
reactions.
spoiled.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here it goes.
You kind of know
And
after this.
since I always explain, I will let Corey go first.
Okay. Well, as you can
Straight into
see, I decided to look like Neo right when he gets into the real world, out of the
Yeah.
Matrix.
nice, nice.
So yeah, I'm ready for this. I saw this movie with my dad and my uncle Marcellus.
This is not initial reactions. This is guess that grump.
Oh, my bad. I jumped ahead
All the
yet
time.
again. I'm gonna guess.
You're gonna have deja vu in like 2
I'm gonna
minutes.
guess Caitlin.
Wow.
Caitlin.
I'm gonna guess Ali.
Josh.
Caitlin.
No, that was my guess.
That wasn't his guess. He was saying you go.
But I can't
We're going around the table, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, because
Go on.
Well, it's Caitlin.
Rude. Rude.
Ollie.
Josh.
And Tom.
Wait, so who the fuck did you guys vote for? I don't care.
So I voted for Caitlin. Josh voted for Caitlin.
Yes.
Caitlin voted for
Ollie.
Ollie. Ollie voted for Josh.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So we all have one?
Everyone
No,
have-
Caitlin has
wait.
2.
Kalen has 2.
Wait, is this the Matrix or Inception?
I have both.
I'm gonna guess Josh.
Haha.
So that's 2 on Josh.
2 on
Two on
Josh.
1 on Ollie, 1 on Caitlin, 1 on me.
None on Tom.
Wow.
Not on Tom.
Interesting.
Guys, again, I can have qualms for shit, but I typically like things.
So I saw this movie. Initial reaction.
Oh my god, a deja vu.
I saw this movie with my dad
Get
and
it.
my Uncle Marcellus in Arizona, 1999, when it came out. I was way too young, but they, parents can let you go into R-rated movies, so I did, and it blew my fucking mind. I had never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
And it changed cinema. I was obsessed for a long time. I played any video game that came out. I read some books. Like, I was in this shit. This was my jam for a long time. That's my initial reaction.
I'll go next. So when I was a kid, I think it was 4th grade, and the movie had come out for me. And I remember every girl just had leather jackets, and we're all saying they're Trinity.
Those things came out. Like,
Oh,
The glasses?
Glasses
The
without
Morpheus
the
glasses?
fucking rims.
yeah.
For me, it was the phone.
Yeah. But yeah, I fucking saw all the hype. It was one of those movies that I missed, and I didn't watch until it became out on a thing back in the Stone Age. We have VHS.
Oh, yeah.
With those
You're young.
plastic
Wow.
sleeves
Those
where you
little
have to
books that
hold
aren't
on to,
books.
and then it squeezes out. But yeah, I mean, I watched it. I liked it. It has one of my favorite actors in there who I think is really underrated in the 90s. Not Keanu Reeves, none of the main
I was going to say Keanu Reeves?
No, none of them. But one of my favorite actors in there, and I was like, ooh, I like him. So, I mean, yeah, I like this.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's Cypher.
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
From Memento and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I knew him from Baby's Day Out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I got, that's how I was like, that's him.
Shout out to Bill Holmes. He's in Baby's Day Out.
With the smell of hot dogs.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I enjoyed the movie. It's a corny ass action film for the early 2000s.
I knew him from Bad
Late
Boys.
90s.
Late 90s, that 2000s era. It's the start of the 2000 era. Like,
Yeah,
you
but
watch that,
Technically, it's the late 90s.
which gave way to the early 2000s.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I get it. But
Wow.
it's like pretty much that, and then Tomb Raider, the same
Corey.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Next.
1999, I remember seeing this movie and just being completely floored by it. I think that is a right thing to say, that it changed film. People were like, slow motion?
Bullet Time. Yeah.
Bullet
Time,
time.
baby.
I think I read like by 2002, it had already been parodied like 40 times in
Yeah.
movies or something crazy.
It's still parody.
Yeah, that one
Yeah.
movie you haven't
Oh,
watched?
yeah, of course.
Scary movie? Okay.
Kung Pao Enter the Fist.
No, it's a movie that my initial reaction is my same reaction every time. I'm just like, holy shit, this movie is
Yeah.
awesome. So
Yeah.
initial reaction.
I had very similar initial reaction.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah, holy shit. Saw it a few times in theaters. I think my uncle took me.
Shout out to your
And
uncle.
my brother, yeah.
Cool uncles out here.
Cool uncles. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved every bit of it.
Pound it for the cool uncles.
I have cool uncle
there for
too.
so
cool
long.
uncle.
Just not in this particular instance.
Oh, well then.
Oh,
Same. Like, I was into the soundtrack. I was into like the way things looked. I had a Nokia phone, which at the mall you could buy a faceplate that looked like the thing where you press it and it opens like that.
Like the Matrix
my
phone?
God.
Yeah, it was totally like it didn't function, didn't have any functionality, it just revealed the number pad.
Just aesthetic.
Yeah, because it's a faceplate. It's not
Yeah,
going to
you
interact.
had to have it because
Yeah, 'cause you
Trinity
had to
and
have it.
Morpheus had it.
So yeah, huge fan of the film. I think it's a milestone movie. I think there's a few when it comes to how movies look, feel, and how CG looks. I think like Matrix is like one of the big movies for that. I think since then,
Push the boundaries.
After
Yeah.
that, everything changed. And
Yeah.
then I think the other movie is Iron Man back in 2008. I think that was another milestone for CG. But anyways,
And Lord of the Rings.
and Lord of the Rings.
I didn't see this movie until college. I had seen snippets of it here and there just on TV.
And sprinkled
on
through popular
YouTube.
culture.
Yeah, and
YouTube.
sprinkled through popular culture. Yeah, it showed
Probably
up
saw
in
the
things, but I
parodies
didn't
before
really
the
know
movie.
what it was.
Yeah.
And then I had a friend who was like, "No, we're sitting down and watching this." And then we watched all of the movies and all of the animated everything.
Shout out to your good friend.
Animatrix?
Yeah, Animatrix. We watched everything. Yeah, everything. And it was a very strange experience because I loved the movie. It blew my mind because it's not at all what I was
Then you
expecting.
started to doubt everything.
No. Well, actually, I did because the friend who introduced it to me was part of a group that were basically monks that called themselves the Jedi. And they practiced like moving things with telekinesis.
Yeah, I know about that.
So it was really strange to like watch all of the Matrix and then be around these people who were like,
there is no
moving
spoon.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, being like there is no spoon and then
But there's
making
also
that
no
stuff happen.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a mind-blowing experience in multiple ways.
To say the least.
Yes,
Wow.
to
That's
say the
that's
least.
kind of a cool way to go into it, though, is to
Yeah.
just kind of jump in and watch all of it.
Yeah.
I dig that.
It was a good way to go,
Wow.
I think.
Awesome.
Cool.
So that'll bring us to our film info. So we'll go over a brief synopsis, a little bit of the historical reference, and the production. Do you want to go to the brief synopsis?
Yeah. And so we open with this scene on someone we find out later is named to be Trinity. Crazy action ensues. Minds are blown within the first 10 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
And then we cut to a guy sleeping at his computer. His name is Neo.
Keanu.
Yeah,
Also.
Keanu Reeves. I mean, Thomas Anderson, right? Yeah. He's a hacker. I prefer hacker. He gets a message on his computer that says "Follow the White Rabbit." He makes a sale of some sort of disc to this guy, and he notices that his girlfriend has a white rabbit tattoo, and they invite him out to this club. So he's like, "For sure, I'll come." He meets Trinity. The Matrix ensues. He eventually meets. I'm trying to keep this as short as I can. He meets Morpheus, who gives him the option of to either stay in this what is now known as the fake world or a computer program called the Matrix, or take the red pill and come to the real world and help us basically save humanity. So he decides to take the red pill, gets eaten by a computer, by a mirror, and now he's free. We find out that in this real world, people are used as batteries. Essentially, we're glorified Duracells, product placement. And so,
hashtag not
but with
sponsored.
that, the upside to that is
Yep.
the people who have been freed are basically now integrated into a computer system, or can be integrated. So they're taught things within milliseconds to how to do kung fu, fly a helicopter, blah, blah, blah. You know, all these things they can learn how to do to try to fight the machines and free humanity and free Zion eventually. Throughout this, Morpheus believes that Neo is the one. He doubts it himself. Even the Oracle tells him that he's not the one, quote unquote. But through all of this, these agents that are basically sentient programs are chasing them and trying to kill the people who have sort of disrupt their robot utopia of battery harvesting. And eventually Morpheus is taken, and Neo says, we have to go in and save him, because Morpheus sacrifices himself to save Neo. He's like, I'm not the one. We got to go in. We got to save him. So Trinity's like, I'm fucking coming with you because I'm badass as shit. And he's like, dope. All right.
Plus,
They
everyone
have
else is dead.
this crazy scene. And this is all after we've had some betrayal within here. We've had some other people from the team die. It's just basically the computer guy, Tank, and Trinity, and Neo, and Morpheus. That's all we got left. So they go in, they do this badass rescue mission. They get Morpheus out, Trinity gets out, and Neo is stuck with Mr. Anderson. He tries
an
to,
agent, yeah.
who's probably the most powerful of the agents. He
over
fights him
9,000.
off. It's a really badass scene, and then he immediately comes back because they can be anyone. They can't really be killed. And a chase ensues, and he's killed. Mr. Anderson beats him to the doorway where he's trying to get out and shoots him 6 or 7 times in the chest, and they think he's killed. All the while, back in the real world, the ship is being chased by the robots. Blah, 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 blah. One thing leads to another. Trinity reveals that he loves him, or she loves him, and that the one
of
is the
life.
person that she loves, and he becomes the one. And he makes it out of the Matrix. He destroys one of the agents and essentially assumes the role of God.
Yeah.
That's
Go
pretty
on.
Sounds like
More Jesus.
Oh yeah, Jesus. There we go.
Jesus.
Not God.
How was that?
Good.
That's
pretty good.
Then he flies away in the sky.
For a movie like The Matrix,
He flies away in the
yeah.
sky.
to not explain. When he's like, "You go ahead," I was like, "Oh fuck."
And to talk a little bit about the historical reference, like we've talked about it, in small snippets, but yeah, it changed the way that a lot of us think of action
Yeah.
films, of how we see choreography, how we see special effects, what we think of our real world. I mean,
It also came on the eve of Y2K.
Yeah.
Everyone thought the world was going to
Oh,
end.
yeah.
man.
So when it was
yes.
playing in theaters and all this computer shit was happening, we're like, "Oh my god, we're all going to
People
die."
were already scared of technology.
We're gonna be
too, a little
batteries.
bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, it still plays out today. Elon Musk talks about how we pretty much could be living in a simulation.
Oh, he talks about AI as like one of the greater global warming. And AI is like a huge
AI is
threat.
probably the biggest threat.
Which, side note, just because this Y2K was such a big deal, I'm very curious, just in as short of words as you can, what was your Y2K experience when it hit midnight that night in
Nothing. I had a
2000?
stuffed animal that said Happy New Year.
I was playing Tony Hawk Pro
It's a white
Skater.
one.
It was a little blue thing.
You were playing Tony Hawk
I was
Pro
playing
Skater?
Tony Hawk Pro Skater on Nintendo 64.
You guys were hanging out with stuffed animals?
Yeah.
I stayed up just in case. I had a little stuffed animal that said Happy Y2K, and nothing happened. And I was like, went to sleep.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very deflated because I didn't believe that anything would happen either.
I was at a party and we were all like watching, being like, "Oh my gosh, what if something happens and some asshole turned off the light?" The moment it hit midnight, we were like, "Oh god!" And then the TV was still on. And we were like, "Oh, we hate you."
Well, this is when that came out. It's like it was playing on people's fears in a sense.
And this also pretty much was the jumping off pad. I mean, like the Wachowskis had already been making films, but this was like, oh, the people who made The Matrix. And it's like, oh, fuck. And Joel Silver was been making a lot of movies.
A level.
Yeah. And again, a lot of people aspire to have the same fight sequences. Also, this is probably one of the greatest like fight sequences of all time.
Yeah.
Mainly because it has story within it. Everyone in this movie has a career. Not because of it, but like a lot of people
It helped.
younger than me or my age figure out like, oh, that's from The Matrix. That person's from The Matrix and shit like that. And then about the production now. Distributed by 20th Century Fox, directed by the Wachowskis. I think it's important to say before it was called the Wachowski Brothers, and then now it's just Wachowskis, which I think is cool. Who did Assassins and Bound before this film, and then now have done Invasion, which is terrible. I didn't like it.
And Speed Racer.
Speed Racer, and then recently Jupiter Ascending, which also didn't do that well in the box office.
Yeah.
But we'll just say they have a style. Producers Joel Silver, that's the only producer, who did Die Hard 1 and 2, Predator, and The Warriors before this film.
Wow.
And then later on did all the other Wachowski films. The writers were the Wachowskis, and the cast is Keanu Reeves, who did Point Break, Bill and Ted's, John Wick,
Speed,
Devil's Advocate, Speed, and Constantine. Carrie Ann Moss, who did Memento and Disturbia after these films.
a lot of other things.
And a lot of other things afterwards. Lawrence Fishburne, who is a legend before this film, who did like Othello, Boys in the Hood, The Color Purple. More recently did Man of Steel. He's Perry White. He's also in John Wick as well.
With Keanu.
Yeah, and
Teaming
then
back up, baby.
after The Matrix did Event Horizon with Sam Neill. And the antagonist of the film, Agent Smith, Hugo Weaving, V for Vendetta, also by the Wachowskis. Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. That's all we care about.
Megatron.
The
Actually,
Jupiter
Megatron in
Ascending,
all
too.
the films.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Which
what
is
the
amazing.
fuck? And
Jupiter
he was
Ascending.
also in Cloud Atlas.
Was he in Jupiter Ascending?
No. Cloud Atlas.
Yeah, I was like, I think it's Cloud.
The True.
The true. You speak the true.
The runtime is
2 hours and 2 minutes?
not 2 hours and 2 minutes. The run hour is over 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And the budget was $63 million, and the gross was $483.5 million.
Can I drop a fun fact on the budget real quick?
Yeah.
Won't take more than a minute.
I was just gonna say, fun fact, it flopped. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, no. So the Wachowskis actually were granted $10 million to do the movie,
Oh yeah.
and by Joel Silver, there was like $10 million, make your movie, and they came back to him with 10 minutes of film that they spent $10 million on, and it's the opening sequence of the film, and they said, "This is what we want to do," and he went, "What do you need? Because we need to make this." Because they invented that camera thing. It was like they helped fund and invent.
It was like
the
36
usage of that.
cameras,
Yeah.
The
How
actual runtime is
nerve-wracking.
136 minutes.
136.
So that's 2 hours and 10
But like,
minutes.
imagine the audacity to be like, "Here's $10 million to make a whole film." We're like, "We did 10 minutes."
We did 10.
Hey, do you like this? It's 10
again,
Well,
minutes long.
it's not audacity, but it's like it's confidence.
But again,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like this is coming off of, and like film takes a long time. This comes off of Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
This comes off of Pixar, where like CGI and camera and everyone's being very, very like risky at that time. So like these two were like, let's do it. And I want to talk about that later on because Will Smith talked about how the pitch went to him and why he didn't take the role.
And it was almost him as Neo and Val Kilmer as Morpheus.
Yeah.
Which
Well, Johnny Depp was way up for Neo as well.
let's just say, thank God, none of that worked out.
But anyways, so the Rotten Tomatoes score that it sits at now is at 88% for those who care. I think it's a great movie, and I think it's more than 88%. But that's just me. Which would now leave us to our meat and potatoes,
I love meat.
which is our favorite parts.
Favorite parts, baby. I'm just gonna say right off the bat, the scene that I continually can come back to easily. There's two really. Is the Neo and Morpheus dojo scene.
Yeah.
That scene to me is so perfectly.
Stop trying to hit me and hit me.
Yeah, it's so perfect. It's got so many. You think that's air you're breathing? Like the lines in it are
Yeah.
perfect. Like I remember that scene the first time I saw it, just continually blowing my mind, not only by what they were saying, but the choreography, which
Yeah.
I looked up, which was done by a legendary choreographer named Wu Ping Yen, and he actually refused to do it at first and said, "Oh, I'll do it if you give me this much amount of money." And the Wachowskis was like, "Yeah, okay, you got the money." And he's like, "Oh, but I also want full control over the fights, and I want to train everyone for 4 months before." And they were like, "Okay." And he's like, "Well, I guess I got to do it now." So, so he did, and it paid off. Like it totally paid off.
Yeah.
That
Wow.
scene to me is perfect from start to finish. I know kung fu. Show me. The other scene is the Oracle scene.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That scene gives me goosebumps to this day watching it, and I'll make this pretty quick. But the lines such as like, "What's really gonna get you is, would you still knocked it over if I hadn't said anything?" And I'm just like, I love this woman.
It's the sound of one hand clapping.
I love this. She's so perfect, and like the whole thing is she says that she says that like you're not the one, but she only says it because that's what he needs to hear.
Yeah.
She even says you have the gift, but you're waiting for something. And so I think that's a really wonderful scene. And then just little things like the opening sequence, the line where after Cypher betrays them, Tank gets back up and he's like, "No, I don't believe it. Believe it or not, you piece of shit, you're still gonna burn." And I was like, "Oh my God, yes!" Because Tank is like the shit. I love Tank.
Yeah, he's
and then the last thing
Just
I'll
for him to
say
get recasted.
is just the ways that they describe normal weird things that we have trouble describing, like deja vu or like the taste of chicken.
Yeah.
Like maybe they couldn't figure out what chicken tastes like.
Anytime I feel deja vu, I go, "Oh man, there's a glitch in the Matrix."
yeah.
I mean, that's still a running thing now in 2019.
Yeah.
So like I mean, there's a lot of things that Tasty D Money, and I quote all the time, and I forget how many of them are Matrix quotes until I do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. A lot of favorite parts.
One of my favorite parts was just the lobby scene with the
Oh
gunfight.
my God.
Yeah.
Like,
Please take off
can
any
that-
metal that you have.
How can that not be?
holy shit. And just the way like he fights and cross shoots him, and it was just so well done and so well put together. And I haven't seen I've seen movies since that are trying to imitate that and they can't pull it off.
What are you laughing at over there, Tom?
When you just said cross shooting, I was like Equilibrium.
Oh yeah.
Equilibrium? I like though. That was
But you know what their tagline was, right? This is better than the Matrix.
God.
That was literally the tagline. I was like, oh, you can't.
How do they?
That makes me really. I've never heard the tagline because I actually love
Equilibrium.
I
Yeah,
love that
oh,
movie
yeah.
too.
but I didn't know that
I
was their
haven't seen it in
tagline.
theaters. That's
Can I
not
ask you a
bad.
question?
It
How
says
do
it
they
on the
like
DVD.
resetting a scene like that must be a bitch, right?
Multiple cameras.
They just don't reset.
I don't think they reset. I think it's just multiple cameras.
You know what I'm talking about? Like what if he missed
concrete or
getting the
whatever.
AK-47?
But obviously they probably shoot in corners too, and they probably have little
Good point.
mini corners.
Right.
Yeah,
They
each
had-
shot is probably like a whole setup.
Yeah.
And then they can control that one shot.
Like,
But it's beautiful. It's a beautiful scene.
And then any part that like kind of shows that it's a computer program, like the building rippling when the helicopter crashes
and then
into
the
it.
explosion.
Yeah.
I mean, but stuff like that kind of does happen in real life when
Yeah.
they've like shown
Like a shockwave,
They've
like
shown
a-
like something hit a bowling ball and you see like microwave like
Oh,
actual
yeah.
like squishing happening.
It's just the
On stuff like that.
programming.
Was
Like
cool,
they've taken that
but
and they
it-
haven't scaled it correctly
Yeah.
in the programming or whatever.
Exactly.
What was cool about that, the building, like the helicopter hitting into the building and
Yeah.
it rippling.
It was like completely stiff.
And maybe it's because I noticed it more. It was like a noise of a train first, and then it was like it was
Wait,
like it was a
what?
train.
I'll have to watch that again.
just
the-
the, just
the
the sound,
sound- the
design
sound
of
work
it.
of
Yeah,
it.
it was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Of course, you know the sound.
I just stopped it and I was like, that sounded like a train. And
Yeah.
it was like it was such a cool decision for them to make in that particular
Yeah.
moment. I was like,
But hands down, my favorite scene is the dodge, the bullet dodge.
Yeah.
oh.
Trinity,
Help.
help!
And I love that he's like not fast enough. Like he just doesn't even like.
Yeah.
That's how much he is the one. He just doesn't occur that he did something.
Yeah. Well, he still got
Tremendous.
shot. Yeah.
Yeah. Favorite part?
Boy, oh boy. I do like the when he's a pincushion and they're like building his muscles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I only like that because I was laughing and being like, did you decide that he needs to be this amount of ripped?
Yeah. 100%.
You probably like that line in that scene where he's like, because you haven't used them before. Like, why do my eyes hurt? Because you haven't used them before.
Yeah. Oh my God. There's. It's littered with lines like that, Ali.
Yeah.
Littered.
it's literally with
Well-
existential crisis shit.
I also really liked when he like wakes up in the pod and sees like his real reality.
Yeah.
Like seeing
So
what that
depressing.
actually looks like was horrifying, which
Yeah.
is great because it gives you a real scale of like what he's in for now that he's awake.
Yeah.
It kind of made me feel like this is sci-fi original movie a little bit. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, this sucks. Because in that time, a lot of movies in sci-fi original were like very just bleak humanity shit. I was like, ah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
For this.
But like and the whole experience of him being like ripped from everything, having a thing shoved in him, having to deal with it, coming back out, taking this pill, and like
his
trusting
mouth being
that
disappeared.
mouth being disappeared. All of this is happening
Being eaten
within
by
like
a mirror.
all of it's
Yeah.
happening within like a 2-hour span, basically, in his actual life timeline. So seeing him like deal with
it's
the
all
panic
two
of
days.
all that,
2 days.
2 days.
Yeah.
But still,
Even
But
then,
still.
it's a really short amount of time to deal with all of that
still
panic.
doesn't give you enough time
Power,
to be
the
like,
power of montage.
it's alright. It happened over 2 days. I'm fine. Like,
Right.
I had some rest in between.
it was so 24 hours ago.
Yeah,
Come on.
super.
The world is
But-
sort of crumbling, but hey,
But seeing him like get picked up by that thing by his neck, and he's like, "Oh God, am I gonna die
and then
right
it pulls
now?"
the thing
And then
out. Yeah.
pulls the thing out, and then he's like,
No.
"Oh, okay, I guess we're okay." And then everything shoots off, and then he's shot down
Then
a
he's
tube. Like,
like a poop.
just the just the organization of that and how quickly it happened.
It's very Alice Wonderland like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super Alice in Wonderland. It was
Totally
it
out of
was-
his control.
great.
Like totally out of his
Yeah,
control.
yeah.
Someone he is.
And like he has to trust Morpheus because the only time he doesn't trust Morpheus on the building,
That
he gets caught.
That teaches him.
the other couple times he's like, I'm just gonna do whatever this
That
guy
teaches him.
does.
You can either leave like this or you can leave in their custody.
Yeah.
My favorite scene was what you were talking about.
The dojo?
The first, basically his first interaction with the Matrix, like
the girl in the
downloading
jump
the
sequence
information and all that kind of stuff. My next, and it's such a small little thing. It's when they're basically the start of their badass mission, and they're driving by, and he sees this restaurant. He's like, "Oh, I used to eat at that restaurant," and then it's just kind of like
Yeah.
like a gap, and he just goes, "Really good noodles."
Yeah. Because then like he's
Because
like,
then he realized, oh, it wasn't real.
I've still
like
only
a-
been here for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Like I'm still dealing with shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was such a good like Keanu delivery.
Yeah, really good noodles. Hey, Tom.
Tom.
Mine 2 parts.
Sit there.
Cypher and Agent
Dinner?
Smith. Dinner
With the steak?
Dinner with the steak. Conversation about a steak is always good for me.
I want to be
Of course.
rich.
To me, that's how I think most villains should
An
be.
actor.
Villains should discuss things over decadence.
Yeah.
I love that. And it's like, do we have an understanding? I was like, this is good. I like this. All right. And then, I mean, fucking, I love that actor. I don't even know his name, but I fucking love that actor. And
Who plays Cypher?
Yeah.
I love that he's
I'll look it
just
up.
like, I know that it's fake.
Yeah.
I just don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's the thing.
Ignorance is bliss.
And that's the thing. It's like he's lived in the outside the Matrix so much. It's like I'd rather fucking be, just a slave to it all because
Yeah.
you don't have you can not care about it.
Joe Pantoliano.
I love
Yes.
it. And the second favorite part is the final fight with Agent Smith. Mainly because, and I say it's
The subway fight?
The final
the
final
subway
Or
fight,
the
subway fight, because it is the exact moment where it's like he doesn't believe he's the one, and everyone's been saying you can't be an agent. They're super fast. It's like this is the most powerful program. Blah blah. They're machines, and he's like, there's the stairway, and then there's my obstacle, and I can leave or I'm going to turn around and fight you. And he fights him, and it's like that's storytelling. Like most times, fight sequences happen like they don't tell a story.
Yeah.
Like cars are just chasing each other. People are just jumping off buildings. Like who gives a shit?
And we get another awesome
one of
bullet
my-
time sequence.
Another one of my favorite moments is in that fight is when Agent Smith catches his punch, but he extends his fingers over his throat and he's
chokes
like,
him.
I love it.
But yeah,
it's so cool.
In that sense too, it was kind of like me. I was like, at that age when I watched, I was like, we're getting closer to Dragon Ball Z movies. I was like,
And then they made the Dragon Ball Z movie, and
well, then fucking Matrix Revolution
wait, just
happened. He
wait.
flies through the city and shit.
I know,
was like,
I know,
Jesus.
evolution, but we don't
Yeah.
talk about that.
yeah, it's okay.
But I was just like, oh my god, we're getting real close. Because when he's like super fast punching, I was like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah,
Well, I love that.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
That bullet time where they're like both in the air with their guns and they both
yeah.
empty when they land.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty sick.
This movie is just infinitely quotable, and that's another thing that's like,
Yeah.
it's like what Arnold Schwarzenegger said, where he's like, you don't know when the quoting line's gonna happen, it just kind of happens. But like little shit where he's like running on the phone, and he's like, "You left, you other left," and I was like, "Oh my god, I use that all the time." So I just want to quote it all day now.
The real tidbit story that Corey and I were talking about with Will Smith and how he recently, this is like a couple weeks ago by the time this episode comes out, he did a video and he talked about how the Wachowskis pitched the idea, and it's like, yo, what if like you jumped in the air and it like stopped and then like we saw all around you. That was the pitch.
Yeah.
Like that's how the pitch went to Will Smith. He's like, nah, man, I'm cool. Because Will Smith came into that meeting kind of like, I don't want to be the alien guy.
I
Like,
thought
don't
he
wanna be the
also
sci-fi
did
guy.
it because he
Just
wanted
did
to do
Men in
Wild
Black.
Wild West.
And so he did Wild Wild
He
West.
did that instead.
And he's like, whoops.
And he's like,
That's what he
I'm
says
not
today. He's like, our biggest regret of my career was
Yeah.
not doing The Matrix. But he's like, but
But
it wouldn't
also-
have been the same.
because then they couldn't have cast Lawrence Fishburne,
Yeah.
and and then it would have been maybe not a good movie.
Yeah. Because he said, Val Kilmer and stuff. Another little fun fact about the movie before we move into qualms that I thought was really interesting, and I would
Favorite
still
characters.
love to say this before we get into the favorite characters, is the character of Switch. The reason it's named, she's named
Yeah.
Switch,
Yeah,
is that
it's very cool.
in the Matrix, the program, it was going to be the female who you saw, but in the real world, it was going to be a male, which is why she has the name Switch. Because her version of herself in the Matrix is female, but in the real world is technically a male body. And I would have loved to see that. I mean, I love that actress and all. And I would,
So where is that said?
it's in the trivia. It's in some of the
Is it like in the
reading
novelization?
material and stuff. Not really. No, because
So-
the,
Not really
the
presented.
novelization came afterwards.
So
it was in the script.
So the Wachowskis wrote this in the sense that this character is actually supposed to be like
Yeah, when the
gender identity
when the
thing.
actress auditioned, she was auditioning for half the role. Like that was what the call was. Half the role
Wow.
was the part in the
just
Matrix
gonna
to be
replace her.
female. So when she's loaded in, she's female. But when she's in the real world on the Nebuchadnezzar, it's
It's gonna be a
male.
different actor.
Yeah, I
and
thought that would have been
that's
so
how
cool.
they had it.
Yeah, they were looking for androgynous looking actors. So
Yeah.
And
I would
do
have
you
loved
think?
to see that. Would have been cool, but they took it out.
I wonder why.
Yeah,
You have to also
Probably
think
just
about
Hollywood at the time.
society
at
Yeah.
the time,
at
yeah.
the time.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And how much it's changed.
And I mean, they're I mean, that's what they
But
did.
also how much it stayed the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because people
100%.
still go up in arms about that shit now.
yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I love that, and I would
That's
love
really
to
cool.
have them keep that
That's,
in.
I'm a little sad that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
I read it and went, oh, that would have been so
Not like
cool.
this. Not like this.
So favorite character and side character, because obviously there's multiple mains and then multiple sides.
Yeah, who's starting us off?
I will.
Joshua.
I'll do it. Trinity. Carrie Ann Moss. Carrie.
Shout out. Come be on
Mae
our show.
Moss. No. I love Carrie Ann Moss. Trinity is a badass. Side character. I do like Cypher, but Mouse. Mouse just cracks me up.
Poor mouse. When he opens the windows.
Little baby.
Yeah.
That's badass way to go, though.
I was
you
so
ever have
glad that he
tasty
went
wheat?
that way. Yeah. I can set you up with a session with the girl in the
Lady
red
in the
dress.
Here we go
woman in the red
again.
dress.
So
Digital
Mouse.
pimp.
Digital pimp.
Yeah, I think that's a good guy. Like mouse, I wouldn't have thought of that, but that makes a lot of sense for you. Actually. Just like as a character, like he's very endearing.
Josh wants to be
I
a
think
digital pimp.
you're a very empathetic person, and I think you just are drawn to those kind of characters.
Mouse.
I didn't mean that as an insult. I'm sorry.
You're drawn to the people who die. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's next? Who's next?
Babies.
I'll go. Morpheus is main. Because he is the kind of like the father. He's kind of like, and for when I remember watching it, I was like, I think he's the one because he fucking has all the answers, right?
Yeah.
And he's the one who has, and that's the thing, the power of belief.
I was
Right?
just gonna say like that. That's all that this really is. Is it's the one is just it's just based on your belief. Morpheus could have been the one,
Yeah.
but he just couldn't.
Well,
There's a belief system. Like one can say that there's this prophecy and whatnot, and it just happened. Like, but it really comes down to if you don't believe it.
could have been the one.
That's actually legit theory.
Yeah, I
Don't
get
make
it.
fun of that. It's really well thought out.
It's cool, but I'm like, all right, cool. When the Wachowskis say it, then I don't care.
Yeah.
But Morpheus, I really liked him a lot, mainly because there's a lot of random parts. Not random parts. I get it, but like he has these battle cries, which I'm like, as a kid, I was like, what the fuck is he doing? But now I'm like,
Morpheus?
this is badass.
But like when he's in the wall and he's like,
boom, and then also break the chains. But it's very symbolic breaking the chains. But also,
Yeah.
I was like, why is he like that?
get up.
Why is he gonna do the fucking haka right now? But I'm like, I'm fine. But yeah, I really like him. His performance is great. I mean, to me, this is where I got my like, Lawrence Fishburne is badass. Like it wasn't until I got to college and I started watching like a lot of Spike Lee films. Like, okay, Lawrence Fishburne's cool.
yeah,
Now he gets kind of typecasted as the Morpheus ish. You know, like
John Wick.
yeah, and
I still to this day am sad he didn't hand him like a blue pill, and John Wick is like, "What's that?" He's like, "Tylenol. You'll need it." I've been like, "That's all I needed. That's all I needed."
and then the side, either Cypher but more mainly Smith,
Okay.
Agent Smith, just because Mr. Anderson, and then one of my friends, Ian Anderson, shout out, love Hammer. We always call him Mr. Anderson, but then also I think about it, I'm like Thomas Anderson. It's like, so if we have a child,
and
Mr. Anderson.
Neo. For me, it's Morpheus. Trinity and Neo are really close. So that whole trinity of no pun intended.
Yeah.
Characters, you need them all. They all help each other out. But
The mentor, the lover.
Morpheus is just so good, so badass. That whole dojo scene is just like one dope line after the other. The one that keeps sticking out to me is the whatchamacallit, the line where he's like talking about, he's like, you're faster than this, just in your mind or whatever. The mind makes it real. That kind of, it's just, he's dope as shit. And then my favorite side character is the Oracle. It's such a comforting scene to me. And I think
Because the architect's not in this one, right?
well, no, that actress, I mean, unfortunately that actress passed away between the first and the second film.
Oh, fun fact.
Wait.
So I'm so sorry.
Between
the girl. Anyway.
That was really upsetting. That was a bad
She
joke.
died in between.
Oh,
fun
fun
fact. That's a fun fact, right?
No, what I was going to say though, is that like the woman who took over is really good, but there's something that this woman really portrayed in this film that like gave me a lot of comfort, and I think she nailed the part.
Dumbledore.
Yeah. She's my old white woman with a beard, except she's an old black lady.
she died in between 2 and 3, by the way.
Oh, was it 2 and 3? Yeah. Okay, my bad. But she's phenomenal.
She was great.
Fun fact.
What was your fun fact?
I was just gonna say that she was replaced by like a good friend of hers that she was in a play.
Oh
with.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it was like,
That's cool.
okay, it's kind of like no, she didn't physically like give the part to
It's
her,
like-
but it's like, oh, that's so perfect.
Edward Norton telling Marvel that they should cast
Somewhat
Ruffalo.
redeemed.
Somewhat
because
redeemed.
he's like, you're not gonna
Awesome.
cast me, then you should cast Mark.
It's kind of like Jonah Hill saying, Michael Cera, take over this role. It
Yeah.
doesn't work. But I'm kidding.
For me, I would say Morpheus, just because of
the
one.
downloading system.
He's got the like knowledge, the skill, but he also has that like childlike wonder, belief in like his end goal that he's gonna find the one, and he found the one, and he's so stoked about it. But he's still he's like lighthearted and happy, but also like badass at the same time. And then for side character, I think Tank, just because Tank was
Recast.
Tank was so good. Stop. Because Tank did such a good job. Like that character did such a good job of like. His
No,
brother
he's not
died.
recast.
not
It's a
recast.
different
It's
character.
It's a different dude.
Yeah.
it's
It's like his cousin or
It's like,
something.
yeah, it's like his cousin or something.
Because his brother died. So.
Oh, no, it's his
Yeah.
Brother's
brother-in-law.
nephew's cousin's
Brother-in-law,
left.
that's what it
Brother-in-law.
is.
His wife is their sister, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe.
He's gone.
Something like
well, either way, I liked him
Or
because
Dozer was married to her.
that. Something,
he lost his brother. He immediately avenges him. Still does his job. Like every time he comes back in, he's like
AKA,
operator.
he's competent.
yeah.
He's
God
competent.
damn, it's good to hear your voice, sir.
Yeah. He's competent, but like is like keeps his eyes on the mission. Like
Yeah.
he's always present for that, even when shit's getting real.
He's a cool guy. Like skipping
yeah,
all
yeah.
the tutorial stuff. He's like, let's get into some fun shit.
Yeah.
Here we go.
It's major boring shit.
yeah.
I agree with that. What was your favorite character? Your
Morpheus.
Morpheus.
Morpheus and Tank.
Morpheus. I'll say Neo for my main character.
That was gonna be Trinity.
I did
Not
too.
actually because I'm a huge fan of Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, that's fine.
So yeah. Whoa. And then Tank because I think the actor just nailed it. And
Yeah.
I want to. I'm sad I didn't see him in more things after that. But
If it weren't for the Oracle, it'd be Tank for me, for sure.
Yeah.
I just
But yeah,
want
I
to hang
just
out with
love
him. You want to
just
hang out with him?
his
Like,
line delivery, yeah, you want to hang out with him.
He's so cool.
He jumps straight to kung fu.
He's also, that actor is like a family of actors. Like he's got like 5 siblings that
He
all
knows how
act.
to load guns for you.
Yeah, that's true. Lots of guns.
Lots of guns.
Lots of guns.
All right.
Get into the qualmy
We're doing it.
qualms.
It feels really tense right now. It was like,
I
we're
feel like
doing
you're the
qualms.
only tense person.
Yeah.
You're
I'm
like,
not
it feels tense. And we're like, it's qualms.
So you start us off then.
I only have one.
That's good.
Tell us about it.
I don't know what just happened to my voice. That's good.
My only qualm, and it's one of those qualms that, okay, fine, if I have to pick a qualm,
It's a reach.
it's a reach.
Around.
Is that sometimes
Beach to it. I beach to it.
Oh boy.
sometimes the script is uneven in a sense that you have really amazing lines like "there is no spoon" or anything
You
that
think that's
Morpheus
air you're
says.
breathing?
Yeah, and then you have shit like "it's our way or the highway," and you're like,
It's 90s.
"No, I know."
Wait,
and
wait,
it's, that's
wait,
a
who
reach.
says that?
Switch says it in the car.
In the car.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that it's like, okay, it's silly,
Or like-
but it doesn't take anything away
Right.
from the
You
film.
still have like scenes like blonde, brunette, redhead.
yeah,
When thunder strikes, when they say something meaningful or
yeah,
impactful.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like sometimes it's cheesy in a way,
Yeah.
but it's like, okay, it's cheesy.
It's good
the
cheese.
fucking
It doesn't take away
Matrix.
from it,
No,
yeah.
it doesn't take away from
I
it.
mean, they're playing like a techno remix.
You're just like,
of,
I literally didn't need that.
Dum-da-dum,
I didn't need that line.
dum-da-dum,
Get in
dum.
would have done fine.
Well,
Yeah.
no, they're playing the techno remix of Dragula Rob
Yeah.
Zombie in a hacker club. I'm just like, oh, man.
Loved it. I
Well,
loved
like,
every piece of it.
I love that song. So
Yeah.
I was like, I fucking love
it's
that
so
song.
good. I want to go to that club.
No, it's not. No.
I had the actual tune in my mind, and now it's that.
So sorry.
No, it's gone forever.
So who was next? Qualms.
Ali.
My I don't have any for this movie. I really
Caitlin?
don't.
Yeah, I don't either. That's why I made him do it first.
I don't have any.
Mine's not like, and we've talked about
yeah.
this before. It's not like a qualm. It's more of a conversation point.
Yeah.
It's more like in the interrogation room when Agent Smith first has let's say
file.
pre-Christ Neo.
Yeah.
Before he goes to the Matrix, he does the little mouth thing, and then he does the little shrimp thing. I love those things.
I
But
don't.
one required him to do something, one required him not to do anything. And that made it a little weird for me. Like as an adult, I'm like, why did one have to come out of a briefcase, and then one just happened?
What are you talking about?
Like his lips just came together after he said, "If you can't talk," and then all of a sudden he's like, "But we can follow," and then all of a sudden like, there's a shrimp in your body, versus like, "But now we will follow with this shrimp thing."
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's kind of like he was magically able to make his mouth disappear,
Yeah.
and then
But he
all of a
couldn't
sudden like he
magically
could
make that
magically
thing.
make something else.
like he should
appear
have
in his mouth.
taken some device out to make his mouth.
I mean, I don't give a shit, but it was kind of like, obviously, like they all look cool, but like to me, these are like the continuity errors. These are the goofs, right? These are like, if that this
for
is
the
this
sake
is
of
the
it.
Where's the rule?
this is the. I bet you he's thinking of other girls, but why did he have to?
I
use
don't.
a
I don't
shrimp?
know if that's
maybe it's-
necessarily a goof though, because it's also like he was saying that we're gonna be watching you. Whatever we want you to give us information about Morpheus. So, I almost understand the fear tactics. Like to me, that whole inserting the shrimp in him and being very ceremonious about it
Why does
is
it
more
have
of
to be
an.
through the belly button?
I don't
Because
know.
that's
It's creepy.
because that's
as fuck.
gangster shit.
Because that's where he used to eat from.
But
Also,
that's
why
like.
couldn't it stay in the little fuse shape?
But
whatever.
keeping it like
love that.
that's like the act of putting the fear of God in him.
I like that.
So that like if anything would cage his mind more to be like, this is the
not
person
gonna
who
fuck with
hurt
these
me.
guys.
I'm not gonna fuck with him.
But then he also thought he was dreaming it
right
afterwards.
But
Well,
but there was no time for Agent Smith to like be more than that because they took it out right after.
The weird thing is like they knew how to find him
Right.
before anything even happened,
good point.
and then they were like, "We're gonna track," but you knew how to find me to begin
Well,
with.
because now he's not going to go to work.
Yeah,
They
and
only knew he was there because that's where he
And
works.
so I was just like, but I mean, it's
My only-
they were like tracing him because of Trinity was chasing him. So they were on Trinity's
Maybe it's
trail
just
the
a
entire
total
time.
metaphor for like an actual like in the time when you wanted to bug something or put a virus in, you literally had to insert a
yeah.
computer disk or whatever.
It was
and the mouth thing is like part of the programming already. Like
Well,
part
I
of
think also the
Matrix.
mouth thing is kind of like again with the this has a lot of like Buddhist and religious beliefs, like silencing of
Yeah.
a person and all that shit. I get that.
Well, I mean, just from like maybe you can in the
The-
Matrix you can change the body, but putting in something foreign is a total different thing.
Yeah, like the mouth thing. I feel like it's the same as the wall being changed in the building.
I'm getting some existential shit I can go on to, but yeah, I get what you're saying though. I totally agree.
but and
think it's
then
for the impact
I think
of the same.
I think the second other thing is like when he's learning all the kung fu and he's just like in his body, he's just gigging it. All paranormal activity like.
Like when Mouse gets shot, he's like,
But no, just like when he's going, it's like he's been at it for like 4 hours. Like, bitch, won't you fucking stop fucking around? You put yourself 4 hours.
yeah,
Like, why is no one else doing this shit? You have all of the information you need.
he's 10 hours.
Whatever the fuck.
10.
Right?
Well, because
but all of them been
I think they
alive for
probably
at
already done it.
least.
Well, they've already done it.
All of them been alive at least 24 hours more, right?
Yeah.
And so you have each of them have their own like specific.
But they've all done it
operations.
already.
But like, why? And that's the weird thing is like he's a little bit more adept, even though he doesn't believe in himself.
It might just be so like it's all those things that the signs are there. He still doesn't believe it. It's exactly what the Oracle says, right? Like you have the gift, you're just waiting for something. I don't know what it is. So like maybe it is super physically demanding, and the fact that he's been doing it for 10 hours is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean I just assume everyone's already done all the training modules that he's done,
It's interesting because I feel like, and
even then he still fails the jump.
Well, no,
used
they
to being in
haven't
front of
done all of
computers.
them because Trinity was like, I need to download a helicopter training
Well, I
thing,
just
whatever,
mean
right
the
now.
basic training that he was doing, like
Yeah, what
fighting.
Oh,
and-
I see. Okay.
Well, and I guess the funny thing is because it sparked,
yeah.
it sparked in my mind of like, what is the knowledge cap that everyone has? Because it's like, I feel like if you are able to input all the world's knowledge that we have so far after the world's over, and it takes you, a relatively short, expedited amount of time to do it, wouldn't everyone kind of have a standard amount of information and a standard amount of like there shouldn't be real like dumb casualties here and there.
Yeah.
Like everyone should know Sun Tzu Art of War. Everyone should know how to, create EMPs for everything.
To be fair, the only casualties came, well, I guess except for Mouse, but came from the betrayal.
Cypher. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. How to spot a betrayer.
Yeah, right.
I'm just like, and those are the kind of things where it's kind of like
Betrayals for dummies.
And it's not like the rule was set, but it's more like I was just one. And again, these are discussion where it's like, I wonder how much knowledge they really have, right?
Well, because he has to find the programming for the B-52 or whatever the helicopter's called.
Yeah.
He doesn't have it.
Yeah.
He's like, I need this, and he just starts looking it up and then finds it and then uploads it.
Which is crazy. Where it's all like, shouldn't everyone have this
So,
before you hit the field?
what
But
I'm-
obviously, him is like you got to go now because
But you don't
my-
know
my
when you're
only-
going to need like
My only
that.
assumption is like maybe looking things up like that is gives a signal like, oh, some activity's happening here, and the more things they look up and download, the more the machines are
Well,
drawn to their energy that they're using.
it kind of also lets me think that like they didn't start discovering people until very recently.
Yeah.
Like
Well-
there's Tank,
Well,
right? He was no
born there,
holes
from
'cause he was
Zion.
born, yeah.
Yeah.
But then they didn't start learning how to like take people out.
Well, they must have, because some of the people in Zion were awoken and had children that are like the age of
Adults.
Tank.
Yeah.
So it must be for quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and the Nebuchadnezzar looks a little
Yeah,
worn.
because he said there was a person who came who was before Neo, and then he was the first to awaken everybody, and then he died, and
a good decade,
they've been
I'd say.
waiting for someone to come back. So it's
Yeah.
been a minute, but
I think Trinity's probably their newest one before Neo.
yeah,
Probably. Anyways.
yeah. But that's a good question. That's a really good question.
Yeah, not more questions, but cool.
Yeah.
And then now
So rating.
let's
Rating.
go to the rate. Who had the points on people? I know I didn't have any. Corey didn't
Got a
have
little
any.
confusing there.
It was
I
2 on
had-
Caitlin, 2
I-
on Josh, and 1 on you.
I had
right?
one.
Yeah, I didn't have any.
So go ahead. It's us two.
It's us
These
two.
two.
You go ahead.
No, you go.
All right,
Mine is
5.
It's
It's a 5 for me. There's, for me, like the fact that what they did at the time they did it bolsters it as well, and the lasting effect it's had on cinema, and the fact that I was literally sitting here before the show, and I've watched this a million times, and even when I was watching it with my wife recently, I was like trying to find qualms, and I'm sitting here and I look at Josh, and I was like, I can't find any, and he's like, it's okay. I was like, all right, cool. So it's a 5 for me.
might be 4.8, and it's not because of any things I brought up. It's mainly because like now looking at hindsight and all that stuff. Like again, they did what they could do at the time of, but like there's some things that are like not future proof. And I'm not talking about CGI. I'm just talking about like showing off the gadgets of here and there. Like I love like the Nebuchadnezzar and all the technology there, but like Nokia phone. It's like
Yeah.
that's like we all know, like, and that's the thing where it's like now filmmakers are cognizant that like iPhone 7. It's like, dude, that's hella old.
Yeah.
And so it's like you're gonna date yourself, and like I'm not saying that's a negative thing, but it's kind of like it's gonna be dated.
Yeah. Well, it's anytime anyone uses any technology in any movie.
Well, like so there's a really cool video I say that talks about it. It's like instead of doing that, they just do like the text bubbles, and they just show that instead.
yeah.
And so like most times you see police officers, they use phones, and it's just like a bullshit phone. It's not like the newest phone.
You know what show modernized the text messages on the screen, right?
No.
Sherlock.
Oh yeah, that's exactly the show, Sherlock. And they don't use anything that looks like an iMessage or like a Google message.
Very
Yeah.
generic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
11 years after The Matrix came out.
So 5, 4.8, 1 on Ali.
5. I wouldn't change anything. I think it holds up really well. Even the technology stuff, I give it a pass because it's like it's a period piece for the 90s or whatever.
Especially dealing with
It's
what
not a period piece for the 90s. It
well,
was a current piece for the 90s.
but
But you could see it as because
But dealing-
it deals specifically with time
technology.
and like where it's the year 2100. What is it actually? Whatever he says, and then it's like, oh no, they're simulating the 90s.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I see it. So it's actually not a 90s
So
movie.
you think about it, it's a futuristic movie.
Yeah.
It's a futuristic
Interesting.
movie.
Yeah,
So
that's a good way to
it
go
dates
about it,
itself on purpose.
Yeah, and they're
Yeah.
going back
Your
in
qualm
time.
is wrong.
Your qualm is wrong, invalid. Your score is now 5.
It's a 90s
Thank you. Move on.
simulation. It should if that phone was anything else, it'd be bad.
I'm okay with being the grump. guys.
JK.
Josh?
Don't I have more than you?
No, you guys have 2.
You have
Two.
two
Oh,
each.
okay. That's a 5. I wouldn't change a single thing about it. I love the movie. Every time I watch it, I'm excited about it. Like, I get excited when I'm going to watch it
Yeah.
again, where I'm like, oh, sweet.
It defined my taste in movies. I feel
That
being
explains
14 and
so
very
much.
impressionable,
Yeah. Yeah.
doesn't it?
It's very
There's an
Batman-like.
exposition-
Very
exposition.
Batman like.
Fair.
Jumping over buildings.
And
Yeah.
Morpheus explained
Rooftops.
everything.
Yeah.
Kaylin?
5.
Woo!
Oh.
Wow! No one voted for me. And I was
Is that her first?
So at the end,
Wow.
when no one had voted for Tom, I was like, oh no, we've all chosen poorly.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Because, I mean, again, 4.8, and I like the movie, and it's the grump of the week.
Yep.
That's how it happens sometimes, you know?
how it
That's
go.
how it be.
Can I gush about one
Yeah,
of the
we do
actors?
have some time
Yeah,
to gush.
Not at all.
Lawrence Fishburne.
It's great and
If
good.
he's great and good in anything that he does.
Pee-wee.
But a very
Pee-wee's Playhouse.
specific, a very still good.
Yeah.
A very specific movie that I wanted to throw out there is
Man of Steel, yeah, I know.
Boys in the Hood.
Yeah.
It is such a good movie. You
Can
have
I-
to go see it.
Can I add on to the Lawrence
will, one
Fishburne
day.
movie train?
Yeah.
It's a movie called The Signal by A24. We watched it together.
Yeah, I was like, we watched it.
It's really interesting. It's
Yeah.
a really interesting movie. But he's kills it in it as usual, per usual.
I think he could have done a really good job in DCU with Perry White. But,
Yeah.
like, I don't know if they're going to put him in anything else. But, like, I was really liking his Perry White.
Yeah. for
Also,
sure.
breaking news, water, wet. Oh, fucking Lawrence Fishburne.
But he's
yeah.
in MCU.
Yeah, he
Batman.
is. That's
Yeah.
funny. He's in both. Damn good.
He took the red
Double
pill and
dipping.
yeah.
Double dipping,
the
baby.
blue
Oh,
pill
quick
on that one.
question. Since we got some time, red pill. Would you take the red pill or the blue pill?
Whatever one gets me out of the Matrix.
Red.
Red pill.
Red.
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 Yeah, red. Okay. Easy.
There's.
as soon as I knew everything was an illusion and that like my parents never loved me, they were just kind of programmed to possibly.
Wow.
So, also,
I would be like, I'm out.
I do want to talk a little bit about the simulation thing because how Elon Musk explains it. It's like why do we think we're in a simulation, or like what would the world look like outside of it? It must be really boring, and that's all he says.
Yeah.
Because like you wouldn't make a simulation of something that's the same thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so like you'd have to make a simulation of something that's a little
Unless your robot's
cooler,
trying to trick
But-
people into.
but more
Yeah.
realistic, but like still realistic, but not that much cooler than
Yeah.
what your reality is. So the outside reality could be just normal.
Now a quick thing I wanted to just quickly ask you guys and get a quick.
Is it
first
quick?
questions. I think it's quick.
Is it going to be quick? I'll try to make my answer quick.
So
Not
you
quick
know,
anymore.
since there was only ever one Matrix movie made,
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
there
You're right.
has been
Wow.
talks of
You can't do that to
There-
history.
there has been talks of not a reboot, but like a new
Continuation.
a new movie. I don't think they specified, but it is apparently in very early.
I would laugh
Talks.
if fucking Matrix became Fast and Furious. Where Lawrence Fishburne is the new Vin Diesel and just is in every movie for no reason.
It.
well, they haven't
I
made
wouldn't mind
any
it-
other Matrix movies, so
I would love for
We'll
them-
never get to that many.
I would love for them to
Except
go
for the
back
Animatrix.
to because you
Except
know
for
how
the-
this
that
is
was-
like
that
the
was
sixth
good.
Matrix or whatever in this movie.
Yeah, the version.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
you find out in
talk about the
Revelations.
seventh version. Yeah,
In Revolutions, you find out that it's the sixth Matrix or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool if they went back to like the first Matrix and call it the first Matrix,
yeah.
the movie.
They,
The
so,
first
so you're
Matrix,
saying
the movie.
So they're gonna go Star Wars and end off where like there's I'm gonna find a guy. His name's Morpheus.
Are you
But
talking
you don't
about-
have to talk about you don't have to have the same characters.
He just
Okay.
went, no.
No.
You could literally tell the story of the first guy, I guess.
Yeah, that's
Who
what I mean.
the first person who awakens.
That
And
would
who
be
can
cool.
they cast as the first person?
Keanu Reeves, because he doesn't age.
Will Smith.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Matthew McConaughey.
All right.
Or Matthew McConaughey. Matthew
Or
McConaughey
not, or
can
not,
be
or
the
not.
Morpheus role,
You don't like Matthew
the mentor
McConaughey?
role,
I'm fine with him, but
or Val Kilmer.
You can.
I heard he's good.
no.
Anyway.
Anyway,
I feel
feel complete.
Have you seen The Matrix? And has it had
Has it have for
had
you
an
to be
impact
good?
on your life or in your movie going experiences?
Do you like it when Morpheus explains the entire exposition and the world to you like Ollie does?
Yeah, I do. If you get a chance, also, there's this thing called Nox's Corner that was floating around in the early 2000s where a guy dubbed over a lot of the Matrix.
Oh,
And it's
Oh, yeah.
fucking phenomenal. There's the part where he's got the needles in him. Morpheus walks in and he's like, "Why'd you do this to him?" And Neil's like, "Why'd you do this to me? Why'd you do it?" "I thought it would be funny, sir." And Neil's like, "It wasn't funny." "I know." He like pets his head. But it's just stupid stuff like that. And my buddy and I quote it all the time when he's like, when Tank's doing his shoes up, right? And he's talking about Zion, the guy dubs over and he's like, "Velcro." I love Velcro. He just like looks at him really weird. Anyway, check it out. It's hilarious.
Wow.
You should
Wow.
watch it.
The internet.
Stop trying to kiss me and kiss me.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening on that. Thank you so much for listening, for watching if you are on the YouTubes. For people that keep listening and watching and sharing with friends and family. If you're new to Nerd On, you can check us out at nerdon.tv.
You can.
You can check us out there.
There's so many links where you can
exists.
find all sorts of stuff for our social media and
Social
written
media.
content.
Another new thing is our newsletter. Once a month, give you a laydown of everything that has gone on with Nerd On.
Because we know you have busy lives.
Busy
Sometimes
lives.
you just need a nice, convenient, nicely
Recap.
written recap.
Wouldn't it be nice if you could just go to sleep, plug into Nerd On, and like Neo,
Yeah.
when he wakes up, wake up and be like, I'm not wearing hockey pads.
Oh my God. Wow. Just smack us in the face
There
with
it
that.
is.
All right. Thank
Wow.
you. Wow.
We also have another podcast. I use my big words. Podcast
Podcast?
Trope Time. It's a big word. Trope Time. It is once a month, first Monday of every month. It is hosted by our friends Nikki and Izzy, and they go through the tropes that are in nerd culture. They're awesome. We
Yes.
like them.
It's true.
You should check them out.
Listen.
Very much so.
On Apple Podcasts. You can check us out on Apple Podcasts. But that is it. There is no more. As always,
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.